Innovation is a big part of a student's education experience. But it's hard to teach innovation in a class. You learn innovation with a project. So, for example, many students come to MIT and say, I would like to do something in service to a community. So we have something called the Public Service Center. This is a place where a student goes with an idea, and the staff help them find some money, define the project, and then execute it in the actual community. What I want you to notice here is that last year, 2,200 students did a public service project. We only have 4,500 undergraduates. So 1 in every 2 students was doing a project. And you'll notice that's in 19 different countries around the world. Why is this important? Because a student in this kind of project learns leadership. How do I put the project together? They learn some management. How do I stay within budget? Or if I'm not within budget, how do I persuade somebody like a president to give me a little more money? They learn mediation. If it's a team and they're not agreeing, how do we come to an agreement? Skills that are incredibly important, we think, as you move along. The second place where we think students learn a great deal is in competitions. And I want to show you one example. It's called the 100K competition. It's called 100K because the prize is $100,000. But this is a student-run, year-long competition where students invent ideas, create teams, connect with mentors, and actually build business plans. At the end of the competition, a panel of outside experts selects the best plans and provides a small amount of funding for students to, in fact, go off and execute those plans. And you can read the list here. This competition has created more than 130 companies around the world with a total exit value of $2.5 billion US, including some very big companies that have started this way. But what's important is what the students learn in this setting, which is how to create and innovate. And just to show you the growing interest, again, the words don't matter. This just shows you how dramatically this has grown at MIT. From only about 50 teams to almost 250 teams in the last competition. The third place where we see students gaining a lot of experience is in leadership. And here what we do is we provide an opportunity for students to learn leadership either within an existing corporation or by creating their own. So the word we use, if you haven't seen it before, is called intrapreneurship, as opposed to entrepreneurship, which creates an enterprise. Intrapreneurship is how do you build something inside of an existing company? And one of the examples I want to show you is we have a program we would say in English, UPOP, Undergraduate Professional Opportunity Program. This is where a sophomore or a second-year student goes and has an experience working in an internship in a company around the world. And you will notice from the chart that 1/2 of all MIT second-year students, or 2/3 of all of our engineering students, will get such an experience. An outside-the-classroom experience we think is really important in learning those skills about how do you participate in those kinds of settings. And the final piece of this before I talk about the curriculum is global perspective. We believe it is incredibly important for our students to understand a different culture. So we have a program we call MISTI, MIT's International Science and Technology Initiative. In this system, students spend the summer in an internship in a technical setting. So this is not just going and traveling to see the culture. This is working in a laboratory here in Japan, in China, in Germany, in Chile, in Israel, in some other place. In order for students to participate in this, they must prepare. So we require them to spend at least 2 semesters learning the language. I understand you cannot learn Japanese in 2 semesters, but you can learn enough Japanese to be able to participate in this culture. They must also go through what in English we would call a cultural boot camp, in which they get a bit of an exposure to what the culture is like so that they don't make, we hope, bad mistakes as they interact in this environment or some other environment. And I simply want to show you how incredibly important this is to MIT students. There's the growth of the program since its start in 1994. Last summer, 20% of all of our undergraduates were somewhere around the world doing a global experience, which is incredibly important. And I realize I lied to you, I misspoke. I have one more example, and that is about research. We believe it is incredibly important for our students to have a real-world research experience. This isn't just cleaning dishes in the back of a lab. This is actually working with a faculty member on research that will lead to a publication. 85% of all of our undergraduates participate in such a project. And that's adding to that classroom experience by giving you this tremendous additional opportunity to learn outside of the classroom how to do cutting-edge research. I mentioned athletics. You learn leadership on an athletic team. 25% of all of our students participate on a varsity team. Another 25% participate on a club team. So half our students participate on athletics and learn leadership. And 80% of our students have experience in training in the arts and continue to follow that experience while they're at MIT. With that, I'd like to spend the last little bit of my talk now giving you a sense of how we're changing the way we teach. You've seen many of the outside classroom experiences. Now let me tell you a little bit about the classroom experience. And I want to highlight here two things. You can read the words, but I want to highlight two things. The first is flexible degrees. We let students select part of their degree experience. And I'll give you a very simple example. Our mechanical engineering department has a traditional degree in mechanical engineering. It's a very good degree. But 4 years ago, they introduced a new degree in which in the first 2 years, the students learn the traditions of mechanical engineering, fluid mechanics, solid mechanics, control. In the third and fourth year, they select two different topics. It might be medical devices, it might be robotics, it might be energy. And they then pick their courses revolving around that problem. And notice now, it's around a problem, not around a discipline. Half of those courses may come from a different department. It might be in electrical engineering or nuclear science. The students, however, are learning about a problem. And today, more students in that department take the flexible degree than take the traditional degree, because they think it is more valuable to prepare them for a job that they're going to take on as they move out into the real world. You also see the number of students who will do a double major. That is, they will major in two departments. And this is again reflecting the notion that it's not about a discipline, it's about a problem that's incredibly important to the student. The second big change we've made is in how we deliver our material. And here, digital tools, online tools are dramatically changing the way universities teach. I will tell you again, I'm going to use an English expression, I hate MOOCs. Massive open online courses. I hate them because they get far too much attention. What's most important to us at MIT is not that we can offer a course that can be taught to anybody around the world, although that is exciting. Our interest is in understanding how do we use those tools to better teach our students. And I want to give you a sense of that. In fact, in particular, one of the great things about it is that we think that these provide immediate feedback to students, so that they know right away, did I understand a concept or not? It also lets us do what in English we call flipping the classroom, which is to have the student watch the lecture material on their time, so that when they come to class, they work with the professor to solve problems. And I want to just give you an example of how we're rethinking this. And yes, that is me teaching a MOOC to 95,000 students around the world. We think about this, and I think this is very similar to what I've been hearing as I've been visiting Tokyo Tech, that we want to focus on what we would call a module. Think of a module as a unit that talks about an outcome. What What will a student know or be able to do as a result of a learning experience? A module could be a 13-week course, it could be one lecture, or it could be, in fact, a small part of a lecture. And we think that, in fact, by focusing on modules, it lets us rethink the way we actually deliver our educational experience. And so in this example here, this is from a video lecture of an online course. You'll notice across that top bar, that each one of those little buttons is an 8-minute segment of a lecture. And between every second or third of those video segments are a set of questions. And that's a module. So a module may be as little as 15 minutes of instruction. One of the advantages of this is it supports flexible degrees. Because now you don't think of a course as being 13 weeks. It might be 6 weeks. And this is just showing you an example of how mechanical engineering has dramatically restructured its degrees to include smaller size units. Things are broken up into 6 units or 3 units rather than 12 units of instruction.